Super Friends was then the next, or your first real job that you would have working
Right.
with filmation. So, being such a Marvel fan, I guess what kind of flavor did you want to bring to that DC property?
Yeah, it was difficult because really in my whole life I never got to work on Marvel.
Hmm.
I worked on a lot of DC stuff and Shazam, which is also now DC. Um, but I didn't care because I liked Batman. I mean, Batman was probably my favorite DC character.
As he is
Uh,
mostly.
I I love Superman except for the fact that he's so undefeatable that it's really hard to do a good story about.
Yeah.
If they had kept him like back in the 40s when they did the Fleischer cartoons, where he had to struggle to open up a metal door.
Oh, yeah.
Right now he just kind of flicks his finger and the door flies open. So they made him too strong, and it was really hard to get a good story that made you feel like he was in any sort of peril. With Batman, he had no superpowers, so he was just a man that happened to be a really good detective and could almost like CSI, find a hair and go to the Bat Cave and analyze it and figure out who was involved. So I like that much more. And so yeah, so and of course I showed you my first drawing was of Fred Flintstone. I remember they hired me to do Super Friends, and the first thing I do is Fred. But that's just because they had two or three series they were doing all at the same time, and they just didn't have any Super Friends stuff ready when I got my first scenes. But I did a number of really good scenes with Batman in that challenge of the Super Friends. So I was just sitting there going, I'm working on Batman. It was just had to pinch myself.
So when you were working on Super Friends, you said that that was where you had the opportunity to work with Jack Kirby. What was it like working with him?
Well, it was on Thundar the Barbarian.
Okay. I got crossed
Yeah,
over
yeah.
there.
And what happened was I forget what I was working on, but my seat was right near the window, and I looked outside and I saw somebody walking across the bridge. They had this bridge that went between the two buildings, and I kind of did a double take, and it was like, oh my gosh, that's Jack Kirby. I had no idea he even worked at the studio.
Yeah.
I found out he'd been doing presentation work for quite a while. Well, I didn't even know that. So I just ran out to where the bridge is and kind of walked over and pretended I had to go to the other side of the building,
Yeah.
and so I could go, oh my gosh, Jack Kirby, and so he was really nice. He had this big, huge portfolio. Everything he did was gigantic. So he had like these, you know, 36-inch by 24-inch portfolio that he was carrying, and he put it down, and we talked for about 20 minutes. And at the end of the thing, he goes, here, and he writes down his phone number and his address. And he says, come on, give me a call and come on out to the house sometime.
That
How
has
can I
got to
be
be
this lucky?
surreal.
Yeah, it was crazy. And he had, he passed away like, I think it was 94.
Hmm.
And I had a little teeny address book that I kept in my wallet up until the point that you didn't need to carry an address book. You had a phone.
Right.
But I mean, I had that thing in my wallet for like 20 years, and I would always pull it out and just go, "Look whose number I've got." So, but really, just a super nice guy, and like I said, Steve Ditko was really nice. Jack Kirby was over the top nice. I mean, how many people give you their address and phone number
Yeah.
when they don't even know who you are?
Yeah.
And
First time meeting you.
and with Stan, I'd met him many, many times because doing the Comic Cons, one of the cons I did was Wizard World, and he was at every Wizard World show for a couple of years.
Yeah.
And but I had to do like everybody else. I had to get in line, and they shove you through there in 30 seconds, and that's it. But I was doing this L.A. Comic Con about 2 or 3 years ago, the year before he passed away, and the girl that ran the Comic Con, I contacted her. I said, "Look, I'd like to come to your Comic Con. I worked on He-Man and She-Ra." Well, she's this huge She-Ra fan. So she goes, and so we talked on the phone because she wanted to kind of talk to me, about Shira. So
Yeah.
I said, yeah. I said, and same thing. How'd you get started and everything? And I brought up Stan Lee. She says, well, I had dinner with Stan Lee last night because it's Stan Lee's Kamikaze is the LA Comic Con.
Mm-hmm.
And she said, so what I want you to do is I want you to bring some things for Stan to sign, and I'll set it up so you have some time to with Stan.
Wow.
So I get there and I brought maybe 10 things from him to sign, including a typewritten letter that Jack Kirby had sent me. I want to get Stan to sign that.
Yeah.
I had Don Rico, my teacher, he drew me a Captain America, and I had Stan sign that. And I had done a recreation of X-Men #1 comic cover, a full size, Silver Age size, all in color.
Okay.
And I had him sign that for me. And so Friday goes by, nothing. Saturday goes by, nothing. Sunday morning comes, and I'm thinking she must have just forgotten, So I'm not going to worry about it. And all of a sudden she comes pulling up in a golf cart, and she goes, get in. And we drive over, and she opens up this door, and there's Stan sitting there. And she goes, you got 25 minutes. So I, for 25 minutes, got to sit there and talk to Stan. I told him all about being out, reading the comics by flashlight. I said, I used to draw characters and I would send it to Marvel, and you would always respond back to me, and they would send you a pinup of the Fantastic Four or Spider-Man in the mail. So I was constantly getting these things saying, hey, Tom, that was a great character. Thanks a lot. So as a kid, you really felt like part of the club.
Yeah, yeah.
That's one thing Marvel really had going for it. You really felt like you were part of the Marvel family.
Well, I mean, like, even with, like, just the way Stan through the comics, whether it's, like, little segments or, narrative bubbles, like, he would just, it was almost as if he would talk to you directly through the comics, right? It just made it feel so individualized.
Yeah. It was like somebody was sitting down and telling you the story instead of just subtitles.
Right. Yeah, when I was a kid, I always saw Stan Lee as, like, Walt Disney, but cool. You know what I mean? So I guess
Walt Disney without all the Nazi stuff.
Yeah, no kidding. Yeah, they're still trying to keep that stuff locked away in the vault.